Good evening, Sassenachs. This is Fumbi with We So Nerdy. Here with Katie to talk again with you about tonight's Outlander episode, Uncharted, and all the delicious turtle soup.
Yay, turtle soup.
Turtle soup, delicious. But we will talk about that later. I hope those who celebrate Thanksgiving had a really, really nice holiday. I'm currently still at my parents' house, which explains a little bit of the change in scenery, though there's not much back there. But I still really wanted to talk to Katie and talk to you guys about tonight's episode. So here I am. How is everything going, Katie?
Oh, it's great. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. If you got to spend time with your family, that's awesome. I hope it was good. I know Fumi's visiting family, and kind of everyone's been all over this week, so I'm really glad we got to come back together and kind of have this conversation about Uncharted because it was a really great episode.
I agree. It was a really maybe fun. I need to qualify that, and I will qualify it later, but I also really enjoyed this episode. Plus, there was the Jamie Claire reunion, there was a wedding. I mean, there's lots of stuff to be excited about, but we'll get to that. Before we get started, I just wanted to remind you guys that our full recap of Uncharted is now live on the site, and it includes 3 new clips from the episode, plus 2 new images. One image of Jamie and Claire after they're reunited on the beach. And then one of Fergus and Marcelly's wedding with the messy Father Fogden in the background. But we'll get to Father Fogden in a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes, we will. So this week's episode is called Uncharted. And from the beginning, we see that Claire is in an area that seems to be pretty uninhabited. And she spends, the first 15 to 20 minutes of the episode just trying to survive. So that I think was quite jarring. What did you think about survivalist Claire, Katie?
Well, I think that we've always known that Claire is very resourceful, and she is very capable and independent and very strong. But to see her go through like those first 15 minutes or so of the show and just, she washes up on shore, she looks around, she kind of gets her stuff together, and she starts, walking, and all the things that she goes through are just like horrible things, but it's so clear to be able to like just handle it. Like there was never any like whining, crying. It was like, this is what I got to do. I'm going to walk until I find someplace. And even the moment when she wakes up and she's got these fire ants all over her legs. Oh, because I mean, if you've ever been bit by like one fire ant, oh my gosh, but they were like all over her legs, and it looked so painful. But I mean, Claire is, she is a badass. I love Claire.
I agree completely. I think back to when Claire first arrives in Scotland, like back in season 1. And even there, it's really clear that Claire can get things done, right? Like no matter the situation, she's really, really good at adapting. She's really, really good at living off the land. And in season 1, she tells us about growing up with her uncle Lambert and how he would take her on different digs throughout the world, and how, that sort of taught her how to survive in these, less than optimal circumstances. So I just think about that. I think about all the time that she spent outdoors with Jamie, right? Like on the run with Jamie, and how that's, I guess, just sort of part and parcel of her character at this point, right? So yeah, she washes up on shore, and you're right, she doesn't cry. She doesn't, because the fact that Claire even makes it to shore, like, I don't even know how to swim. So my behind wouldn't have even made it to shore. But Claire
would carry you. The water would carry you.
I don't know that the water would carry me that far. But Claire makes it to shore, and you're right, she shakes out her things and she sits down for a while, and then she's like, look, I gotta find a road that's gonna take me to a town. I gotta find a port. This is what we need to do. And she gets up and she just starts walking. She starts trekking and trekking and trekking and moving inland. And I'm like, Claire, I don't know how you did it.
I don't know how she did it either. I mean, the at the very beginning, she says the rule of 3, and I freaked out a little bit. I mean, not freaked out, but I flew out a little bit because I was like, oh my gosh, I know that rule. 3 days.
I don't even know that rule. Like, I didn't even know.
3 minutes without oxygen, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. And I was like, yes, I know something about survival. But then there's like all this other stuff that happens to her, like the ants. And then, oh my gosh, she wakes up and there's like this huge snake crawling over her as she's sleeping. And as I was watching that, I was holding my breath. I was going, like, I know that nothing I knew nothing terrible was going to happen because, I mean, goodness gracious, that it just couldn't happen. But I was still just freaking out for her.
I know. Well, the thing is, like, she keeps walking. She makes a fire. She sacrifices her bum roll in order to make the fire. And like you said, she wakes up the next morning. She has ants. She clears her feet. She wraps her legs. She wraps them up. By the way, Claire girl, you have beautiful legs. Katrina girl, you have beautiful legs.
Yes.
And she packs up and she keeps moving, right? And then the next night, she's so exhausted, she collapses by a tree. And then the next morning, she wakes up with a snake crawling over her. How in the world she sat still? She didn't make a single noise. I don't know how she did it, but she does. And then when the snake makes its way past, she gets up and she keeps it moving. Like, no tears or nothing. Like, Claire, I would have been rolled over and died. Like, been rolled over and died. But Claire's a badass. Katrina Balfe, even herself, is a badass.
She's outstanding. I mean, she did really, I mean, in the first 15 minutes, or whenever Claire is doing that survival on her own, there's not dialogue, not a whole, I mean, there's voiceover. It's not Claire actually speaking as she's doing all this walking. And so it's really just watching her experience everything around her. Yeah. And I think that was really interesting because we've seen episodes where Jamie is just experiencing everything around him.
Exactly.
And now we finally get to have this episode where we're just watching her experience this world around her and how she's affected by these things.
Yeah.
And so that was really neat, I thought.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a great comparison you make, Katie, because I think I flash back to the first episode of season 3 with Jamie lying on Culloden Moor. And, we've been said this, right? That even just like his breathing, right? I mean, he's able to convey so much. And I feel the exact same with what Katrina Balfe is able to do in this first 15 to 20 minutes of this episode. What you said, I mean, there's very, very little in communication, yet in the process of, trekking inland, Katrina is able to convey Claire's determination, but also some of her frustration and some of her fear. But yeah, Katrina Balfe she was a savage, especially with that snake, because that was a real snake. Like, they really, really filmed that.
Yeah.
And she's like, Katrina, apparently the snake's name was Scar. Oh. And she was like, in the after episode, like behind the scenes, and there's like they're filming her Katrina behind the scenes, and she's like, is my favorite co-star Scar or Sam Hewitt? And she's like, I have a new favorite co-star. And she's like playing with the snake, and I'm like, Katrina, if that's how you're doing it, you are way better than me.
Yeah, no, thank you. I would pass.
I know. But she keeps going. It's on the third day, right? Because 2 nights have passed. It's on the third day, right? So you can go 3 days without water. So on the third day, she she probably thinks she's hallucinating if you think about it, um, because like you think about it, when people are about to have a heat stroke, like their vision starts to get fuzzy and like going in and out, and sometimes you lose your vision at certain times. Hallucinate. So she probably comes upon this man standing outside with his arms wide open. She probably thinks that she's having a hallucination, but then she passes out, and the dog Ludo alerts this man to a new person who has arrived at their hacienda.
I keep thinking, like, she probably thinks she's hallucinating, like you said. I'm like, at some point during this, I'm sure Claire goes, I just wish I was hallucinating at this point. I just really wish that this was all a dream.
Well,
oh my goodness.
I know. So because she beats Father Fogden.
Oh.
Father Fogden, a disgraced Catholic priest who finds himself now on the island of Saint Domingue and lives there with his mother-in-law of sorts, Mamacita, and their various animals, goats, dogs, etc., and his beloved coconut, Coco. Katie, your face right now.
Coco,
sweet Coco.
Coco is the real MVP of this episode, thanks to his conversation with Claire. Because without that conversation, she would still be in that hut. So thank you, Coco.
Thank you, Coco. But can we talk about Father Fogden? Do you think he's really that bonkers? Like, is he really just like lost it? Like it's gone?
I think Father Fogden has been smoking too much of his pipe, and he has just, on top of like probably the grief he experienced with losing, his wife and that kind of like forbidden romance type thing that was going on with him, and then you add in being isolated with Mamacita for however long, and then you have, whatever he's smoking in that pipe, we don't know. I don't know what that was. But I just imagine there's several things that have led him to befriend Coco. And, then you have later on his lack of filter. And, yeah, there's something going on with him. He's not all there, I don't believe, at present.
Well, okay, so he tells the story, and I was actually scrolling because I don't want to mess up I don't think they got married. So his lover, maybe, Ermenahilda.
The one who was married to someone else.
Exactly, Ermenahilda. So Fogden was originally a missionary to Cuba, meets Ermenahilda, falls in love with her. She's married. They decide to run away together. Apparently, they bring the mother-in-law or Ermenahilda's mother with them, and they end up on Haiti or Saint Domingue, Hispaniola. And unfortunately, she dies. But it's curious. Well, the thing is that he wasn't bonkers before, right? Because you can imagine a situation where he was just bonkers. He thinks Ermenahilda is in love with him, kidnaps her, and makes his way to Saint Domingue. But if that was the case, the mother, Ermenahilda's mother, wouldn't have come with, right? So I guess we have to assume that it's after Ermenahilda's death that Father Fogden sort of loses it, right? Am I sort of out on a limb with this?
Well, I'm with you. Like, that would be definitely a way to view it. But what if Mamacita decided to come along with her daughter as a way to protect her in hopes that maybe she could save her daughter's life by hurting Fogden? And was like, well, I'll come with her to help you guys because y'all are going to have babies and it's going to be wonderful and you're going to need someone to help you. Like, I can see Mamacita being like shady and getting on the boat like that.
But the thing is that, so I guess the question we're asking is like, did Father Fogden kidnap Ermenahilda? And I don't know. I mean,
Oh,
I don't know. Maybe people, the folks, our friends who are watching, because that wasn't what I got from the books, but from the show, Fogden just seems a little too kooky
yeah.
that it really calls things into question for me. I mean, when he pulled out Coco,
I was like, oh no.
and you could just see Claire's face. Claire was like, what have I gotten myself into?
But I wonder now if he kidnapped her, because he even makes a statement that he thought it was God helping him get away by the English invading during that time. So what if during all of that, that kind of turmoil, he takes her?
I mean, it's an interesting hypothesis.
I
It's an
have no
interesting theory. We'll have to see what our friends
fan theory.
watching what they think about it. But I think you're right. I think he maybe. I mean, I've assumed that whatever he's smoking is just basically like the Mary Jane, but it has to be something stronger, right? Because like when he smoked that pipe at first and the way he started chanting, I'm like, I don't think weed does that to people.
I know. I was like, I think this might be a bit stronger than that. I don't know what he's found on this island. Or, I mean,
He calls it yuppa, right?
yeah, I'm like, yep, yeah, okay. And he's like, would you like some? He tries to offer it to Claire, and she's like, no, thank you.
No, thank
I
you.
will pass.
But I guess it's sweet that he makes the offer. But Claire, and the thing is that I was just so blown away with how reliant on Coco he was. Because he was like, yeah, we can't go. I can't escort you to Jamaica because Coco says it isn't safe. And you're just like, it's a coconut that even has, it looks like he shaved the coconut a little bit. So it has like a little, like a fade, like a high top fade.
Yes. He shaved the coconut and gave it a haircut, and he has to consult with it whenever he leaves.
Yeah.
And he leaves it on a shelf. And I mean, if it's honestly your best friend, like, you would probably take better care of it. And
He was like, Coco, stop staring. I know she's beautiful. And I'm just like, whoa, slide it on back, Coco.
I was like, Coco is being very inappropriate right now.
Yeah, that was so funny. But I guess it leads me to the real question that I want to ask. Is about Mamacita. And okay, so when I read the book, I was just like, Mamacita is a bitch. Like, that's just how it came out to me. But upon watching the show and seeing her like facial expressions and stuff, I was like, you know what? I think Mamacita is actually low-key the MVP of tonight's episode. I think, and that's essentially the question that I want to ask you, Katie, and those of our friends who are watching, is Mamacita really a bitch? Because it seemed to me that she knew that Fogden was bonkers, right? And she could also tell that Claire was trying to get away, right? So I think about the scene in particular, the scene where they're sitting down to have dinner at the table. And she could tell, and Fogden is like, Coco says we can't go until 2 weeks from now, etc. And then you notice, like, Mamacita gets this look in her eye, and she's like, "No, we've done enough. She needs to leave. She needs to leave. I don't want her in my house anymore. She can't replace my Hermenegilda, etc." So I read it a little bit like Mamacita realizes that unless she intervenes, Claire is going to be trapped here. So I perceived it as Mamacita being like an Annika character of sorts.
I see it the same way you do. Especially if you watch her facial expressions and like the way she her posture and her entire demeanor her left and right. She'll call Claire a whore and all sorts of stuff. But at the end of the day, Mamacita's, mending her clothes to make sure she's ready to leave. She's
exactly.
Like, this lady's got to get out of our house. When Claire's like, where did this person kill the goat at? And she's like, down there, over there.
Go, run. Yeah.
Like, she's not about keeping Claire. She's like, run, get out of here. And I think it's because she recognizes that Fogden is.
Yeah. Although, I mean, that's not to excuse what Mamacita says. But, I mean, Mamacita is a really complex character, and I don't know, like, complex in a way that, like, I can't get a read on her, right? Because she says terrible things to Claire, right? As you said, she calls her a whore, calls her a Jezebel, she calls her a cow, she tells her she stinks. She, like, when Claire wakes up and asks for water, she practically, like, Mamacita practically chokes Claire by, like, pouring all that water, like, in her mouth. But at the same time, right, she washes Claire's clothes, as you said. Even though she's, like, sort of interested in this zipper situation, she washes it, she gives it back. She feeds Claire, gives her a bath. She does lots of things, I think, that help Claire to survive. Like, I think about all those ant bites, and even the process of tying Claire down. It was so that Claire wouldn't keep scratching her legs and let whatever salve Mamacita put on it to heal those ant bites.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Mamacita was not nice. But I think I would call her the MVP of tonight's episode, if I'm perceiving it.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right comparing her to, like, an Annika character, because the way I kind of see it, the way Annika portrayed herself one way to these English soldiers on this ship was different than how she portrayed herself to Claire. Mamacita is portraying herself one way to Fogden, and it may not be how she really wants to behave, but she's kind of playing a game. She's putting on an act to make sure that she doesn't rock the boat.
Yeah.
I mean, well, who's to say that Coco doesn't decide Mamacita needs to go next?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that I don't know after tonight's episode we'll ever see Fogden or Mamacita again, but I'm just so curious. I'm like, is it possible that maybe Mamacita has fallen in love with Fogden? Mm-hmm. So there's, like, just some jealousy, not on Hermenegilda's behalf, but, like, on her behalf, right? She's like, this is my house. I don't want her in my house. Or is it, as we've said, that, she's just, like, mean and she's a bitch? Or is it like, no, she's actually trying to save Claire and get Claire out of here? I don't know. But I am curious, and I would be interested to learn more about the dynamic between Fogden and Mamacita, especially, you're right, as it comes to Coco. Because you're right, Coco could turn on somebody.
Well, see, I have another question, because before Claire comes upon Fogden, she does find two rotten, destroyed coconuts in the forest. And so, I mean, they looked rotten and they were black and they were kind of gross. But there's a part of me that goes, were these Coco 1 and number 2? Like, did something happen? Was there an argument? Like, and I was like,
and the first Coco had to go.
Yeah, Coco number 2 said something really inappropriate, and he had to go too.
Yeah, you're right. Coco does look pretty fresh.
Yeah, I mean, Coco is a very, he got a nice haircut. He's new. Coco.
A coconut with a high top fade. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Oh. A bond away. Okay.
I freaked out.
Those beetles? Those beetles on Arabella's head? Oh, yeah. Rest in peace, Arabella. Pour one out for Arabella. Wait, you can't see that. Pour one out for Arabella. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Arabella. That was horrible.
That was. But, like, you could just imagine UT and Cho being like, there's a goat, and, like, and then just handling it.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, UTN show's gonna feed his people. That's what he's gonna do. But that entire ritual that Fogden does with the Beatles is disgusting. But we got a clue, right? We got a clue that Abandaway is a cave in Jamaica. That what Craignadoon is to Inverness is what Abandaway is to Jamaica.
Yes.
Did I say that correctly?
Yes. Okay. So Abandaway is the stones of Jamaica. People disappear there.
Yeah.
So
well, and the thing is that if I'm remembering correctly, it's the stones of Craignadoon are actually a marker for the area, right? So it's not the stones themselves that move Claire like through time or whatever. It's that area, right? So the stones demarcate a particular area with a particular sort of energy through which this is the result. And I think Abandaway, the cave, is the same. So that's interesting because that means there are different places throughout the world that have this particular potential, right, of making people disappear and travel through time. Also, Margaret and Archibald Campbell are crazy.
They're not. Yeah, she was absolutely right. So, congratulations on that. But yeah, I'm really interested to get to Jamaica to see Abandaway, because that's huge. That is a big deal. And if they're there and this is kind of like known, well, you know, people disappear there and kind of shrugged off. I mean, someone's come through them. Someone's gone past them. Like, these things have happened. Like, I need more details.
Yeah.
I need someone who knows things.
Be careful what you wish for, my friend. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. But
that never bodes well for me.
There are 2 episodes left, and I think starting next week we're gonna see something that people are gonna be like, "Whoa!" But that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say because I don't want to spoil. And the thing is that I think Claire hears Abandaway and she's obviously triggered because she flashes back to Margaret. Is her name Margaret? I think Margaret Campbell.
Margaret, yeah.
But the thing is that as soon as she hears that it was a Chinese sailor that killed, skinned and roasted out Arabella, I think Claire, like, her mind is completely shifted to another place, and that is Jamie. Right? I gotta get to the Artemis. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And then she takes off.
Yep, and Mamacita's like, go that way.
Forrest Gump Reddit. Forrest Gump Reddit.
She is not stopping until she gets to Jamie.
She is not. Can we switch gears to talk about Jamie's situation on the Artemis?
We can always switch gears to talk about Jamie.
Okay, because so I was live tweeting tonight, and I always love it when our friends who are live tweeting with us appreciate our wit, because we try to be witty for you guys. Yeah. We try to be witty with the gifts and everything. We try to keep it funny for you guys. So as soon as we go to Jamie, who's like sitting on the beach, I'm just like his shirt is hanging open. He's all tan, and like you can see his chest and through the shirt. You're like, dang, Jamie is looking so good. So I said something to that effect, and I had a gif of, if you watch Living Single, it's Regine from Living Single, like fanning her face. It's like that gif is the epitome of me in that very moment. I was just looking like Jamie, like, you're looking good, sir. Sam Ewan, you're looking very good, sir.
Yes, he does. He looks so nice, and he's sitting there, And I realize that stuff has obviously happened on the Artemis, like
I know.
gone down, and he's still missing Claire. But I'm like sitting there going, "You're posing like a model, like at a photo shoot, and there are things that need to be done here, James. Get up."
Well, I mean, to be fair, they're doing stuff like. So the Artemis has been through well, I think back, so I was a little skeptical, sort of taking us back to last week's episode, Heaven and Earth, when Captain Rains released Jamie from the little prison or whatever, and was like, we lead every able-bodied man to help make it through these islands because traversing these islands can be dangerous. And I was like, I didn't think it was that serious. But we get to tonight's episode, and like Captain Rains is dead, his number 2 guy is dead, a whole bunch of people are dead. The ship has been sustained some pretty severe damage. What is it, like the mainsail and like the foremast? I don't even know what these words mean, but it sounds really bad, right? That there are pieces of the ship all over the place. And you're like, wow, it was really treacherous. Sorry, Captain Rains. I don't miss you that much, but I'm sorry you had to go out like that.
I know. I watched it, and in my mind, my first thought was, did I miss something important happen? Because I didn't see a shipwreck or a storm, and I swear I was paying attention. And so I felt very, thrown off. And I'm sure that they'll kind of, I don't know, maybe elaborate on it sometime, or maybe they'll just be like, hey.
No, I think that was the elaboration, was that conversation between Jamie and Fergus, where Jamie and Fergus were like, yeah, Captain Rains is dead, and Fergus feels guilty for wanting him dead. And Jamie's like, well, as long as, even though you have impure thoughts, if your heart is pure, then, the Lord will forgive you. And that's it. I feel like they keep it moving, because even the other guy was like, yeah, you could be the captain now.
Yeah, okay. Jamie's still on that ship into Jamaica. I'm the captain now.
Like that gift from Captain Phillips, that's immediately what I thought of. Like, if I were any sort of tech savvy, that gift would pop up right now, like on the screen, and just be like, I'm the captain now. But that's what it is now. Like, Jamie is now the captain of the Artemis and in charge of this crew.
He always finds himself in these leadership roles. I mean, and he just falls into them. Like, he's always like this leadership position. Bless him. Sometimes it's not great.
Oh. But it seems to be going okay now, because, they're able to get the ship fixed and everything. They have a nice dinner courtesy of Arabella. And Claire's still trekking. She's still trekking. She's still trekking. She's trekking so hard. She gouged out like half of her arm on a tree branch, but she kept going. She kept going. Yeah. And then she gets to the shore, pulls out the glass to the mirror to refract the light, and Jamie sees his Sasnak.
Oh my goodness.
And that music starts playing in the background, and you're just like, oh my goodness. They're taking us. They're taking us.
I know. I was sitting there, she was standing on the beach, thinking to myself, like, I had this whole flashback to, Ian being on the island, being like, hey guys, it's me. And like the ship coming and taking them. And I'm like, please let them get to Claire. Please let them get to Claire. Do not let Fogden and Coconut pop out of nowhere and be like, no, you're coming home. Like, I was so worried that Fogden was going to pop up behind her and knock her down. So
Coco says no. Coco says no.
Oh my gosh, I was so scared. And so when Jamie and Claire reunite, he's running through the waves.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Sam Hewitt. Oh my gosh. Running. And he's like his shirt is outfit, and he's tan, and like the water is like coming up. He's like,
I'm like, I appreciate your pandering.
Team Outlander, we appreciate you.
We appreciate you. Thank
you. We appreciate you. Actually, I think one of the writers of tonight's episode was the writer of oh gosh, what was the episode? The episode with Yutian Cho's speech?
Doldrums. The
Doldrums. Thank you. It's like, because it wasn't, for some reason, First Wife was stuck in my head, and I'm like, no, that's not it. But yeah, so like the writer of the Doldrums was one of the writers of tonight's episode. So
good job.
Good job. Really good job. But that reunion was everything. And I hate that Jamie and Claire get separated, but gosh, nothing beats a good Jamie Claire reunion. Well, some things beat it. Like turtle soup.
I beg to differ. There's a little part here in a minute.
But I enjoy a good Jamie and Claire reunion because then they can sort of like decompress. They tell each other everything, and I think that's a good thing. I like it when they reconnect. Although I did want to point out that this is quite different from the book. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, it must be really difficult, right? Because these books are massive, right? So how do you take these massive books, these very intricate books, and narrow it down into 13 coherent episodes of television, right? So I think about the parts of the book that was sort of pieced together and reworked, adapted for tonight's episode. And like a lot is missing. So for example, after Captain Rains dies and Jamie becomes sort of the leader of the Artemis, he's able to sneak on board the Porpoise. And he has a conversation with Harry Tompkins. He also has a conversation with Annika. And it's actually Annika who essentially pushes Jamie off the Porpoise and is like, the water will carry you too. So Jamie ends up, washing up on the shore of Saint-Domingue, very similar to the way that Claire does. So their reunion happens quite differently. So I don't know that I think that necessarily took away from anything, although I would have really liked to see Jamie meet Annika. I thought that would have been a really interesting interaction to see. But yeah, it just makes you think, right? I mean, I can imagine that this process of adapting is quite hard.
My mind just went completely blank. Oh my goodness.
It's okay.
About Annika like tossing Jamie off the boat and being like, the water will take you.
And wouldn't you have wanted to see that?
Well, see, I was thinking in my head, I'm so sorry. My mind got sidetracked because I was thinking, how many people has Annika pushed off the back of that boat going, the water will take you? And I know that's probably not true. I'm sure she's not pushed off many people. But for a second there, I was just like, I wonder.
I mean, Annika could get her own little sideshow. It wouldn't even have to be like a full series. It could just be like maybe 3 or 4 half-hour like TV like series just following Annika's adventures.
Yeah, like I'd be for that. I'm curious. Like I said, my mind just completely blanked, and I'm like, I wonder what she's been doing on that boat.
Yeah. Oh, Annika, we miss you. You never know. We might see her in Jamaica.
Maybe.
But at least Claire and Jamie are reunited. Yes. And thank goodness for Yi-Tian Cho, who can not only do acupuncture, skin and roast a goat, as well as sew up stitches. He is also capable of making a very convincing apology.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. I was like, apology? What's he apologizing for? Oh, the goat.
The goat.
He's like, oh gosh, bless him. When he's sitting there talking to Fogg, and my first thought was, why in the world no? And he's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that this meant so much to you. And I just look at him going with his words, telling his stories.
I know. And he's like, he presents a rooster, and Fogden accepts the apology and even goes as far to offer the pipe. And I was just thinking, I was like, Claire, you didn't think to warn Utiancho? You don't accept a strange pipe from strange men. Like, didn't anyone tell you?
I know. He's like, and he takes it. And I'm like, no, you're going to be so messed up. It's unreal. Like, don't do that. Claire's just standing back there.
I know. But Utiancho does seem to be okay, at least by the end of the episode.
Yeah, he seemed okay.
He seems okay.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. But Fogden apparently does agree to officiate the first Lee wedding.
Marsley and Fergus.
First Lee wedding.
I was really not expecting that to happen that soon, this episode. But I really loved it. It was a nice way to see Fergus and Jamie kind of bond, in that moment. And then to see Claire and Marsley bond when she's helping her get dressed. That was really beautiful. I loved it. She's like, I guess you're not the devil after all.
I know.
I'm not the devil after all. And I was like, I like this.
I liked it too. I think about this episode and it's odd, right? Because I don't know if that's the intent, but there's so many different sort of representations of love, right? Or so many different sort of experiences of love. So of course there's Jamie and Claire, but even in terms of like Father Fogden and Hermenegilda, right? That you think about that love, a love that it was so strong for him that he still continues to mourn it. You think about Mamacita's love for her daughter, right? And still grieving over that. And then of course there's Fergus and Marcelly, this new commitment to love. But once again, there's like this parent-child dynamic potentially between Claire and Marcelly, but I mean certainly between Fergus and Jamie as well, right? So it's interesting to think about all those different experiences that really makes it really emotional, but in a way that I love.
It was really nice to see, because I think one of the great things about Outlander is, I mean, they're family, but sometimes they're not family in the traditional sense. Like Marsley is not Jamie's biological daughter, but she sees him as daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Fergus is not his biological son, but they have that, father-son connection. And sometimes, and like in season 1, when Claire goes back initially and she's left on her own with Murtaugh for an extended period of time, Murtaugh is not her family, but he becomes like her family. And so in some ways, family is not just your blood. Family is this group and these connections that you make with all these people around you. And it really is lovely. And it makes me happy that they have this bit of happiness. But then the cynical part of me goes, everyone's super happy and good things have happened. So the other shoe must be dropping soon.
But okay, that is true. Potentially, because they have to get to Jamaica, right? They have to find Ian. And that, I mean, I think because we haven't seen Ian in like 4 or 5 episodes, I think it's very easy, just speaking for myself, I have to constantly remind myself that we're just not on vacation here. Like we're just not on a trip. We're looking for Ian. There's a goal here.
There's a reason.
There's a reason. So that is definitely, and sort of the difficulty surrounding that is coming up. And I think that's even why it's very important for Jamie to have this wedding, right? Because he says it, right? We just experienced all this loss. The crew experienced all this loss. But, Sassenach, and I are reunited. Fergus and Marcelly, he loves her the way I love, the way I love you. So why not take this brief moment to celebrate with one another? And that's something that, I really, really enjoyed. I really did.
That was very beautiful. And I agree with you. It was lovely. It was really beautiful. And then
Except, except, except.
that they brought Fogden back to officiate.
Fogden is so messy.
I mean, who in there? I mean, Claire has been with this man for a few days. She knows that he has got issues, and she's going to let him officiate this wedding. And the whole time, the only question that he can repeatedly ask Fergus, well, I can't marry you if I don't have your last name. And Fergus is like, what am I going to do here? And then he's like, well, do you have a cock? And I'm like,
where did
don't just ask someone
let's even just go back to the very beginning where Fogden welcomes everyone to the hacienda and then is like, okay, starts to officiate the wedding and doesn't even ask, like, clearly Marcelly is standing here with a dude, like they're here together. So for you to like go over here and be talking
to some random guy over here
to this guy,
you sir look ready to be married.
It's like, are you sure you don't want to reconsider? I mean, this guy doesn't even have a hand. Like,
yeah,
like,
and Fergus touches his hand, and he's kind of like, a little self-conscious. Like, she's like, yeah, I'm good, and then he just keeps going, and just actually, these are really the questions we need to ask. Like, do you not know the words? And I mean, like I told you last night, he needs to consult Coco for the vow because he was having some trouble.
But the thing is that at least Marcelly and Fergus can have a laugh about it. That's what I enjoy. Because Marcelly is like, are we seriously going to stand here while you just mutter my name from here until eternity? Read the vows, man. What are you doing?
She's like, I know, my name's very pretty. Let's move.
Yeah. She's like, don't you know I've been trying to bed you for months?
Yes, like I have put in the time. It is now. We need you to hurry with this.
Hurry this up. Hurry this up. So I enjoyed that they were able to laugh together. And Fergus, Claudel, Fraser.
That was so emotional.
So emotional just thinking about it. I'm so emotional. It was so wonderful because you just think back, right? To we were there when Jamie first met Fergus in Paris, right? Like this orphan pickpocket and brought him under his wing, right? And took care of him, and Claire took care of him, right? And they became a family, so much so that Fergus came with them to Scotland, right? And you think about all this time that Jamie has, well, not all of it, but for a lot of the time that Jamie was, over this last 20 years when Jamie has been without Claire, he has been with Fergus, right? And even when he comes back from Hellwater, he links up with Fergus and, they're in Edinburgh and they start their business together, right? So there is this really, really crucial, this really, really beautiful connection between them. So for Jamie to take that moment and, not officially, but it is quite significant, right? That you are my son, so much so that now I've given you my name.
Yeah, he's given Fergus his blessing, and that was such a big deal because Fergus does consider him this father figure. He's someone that Jamie's someone that Fergus looks up to, and that I think Fergus has always considered him a father figure, someone that he can depend on and confide in. And that moment whenever he feels like, oh my gosh, I don't have a last name. I am just this, pickpocket from Paris that came from nothing. And Jamie says, Fraser. And it's just the look on his face, the relief, and also just this overwhelming sense of just love. And he can't believe that he's done this for him or said this, and it's just it gives me so many feelings. I love this.
It was, I mean, the entire scene. And I think back to like Claire and Marcelly, right? And even Marcelly, she's reflecting on her own mother's relationship with Jamie and how she was really nervous, right? Because she loves Fergus so much that she doesn't want her relationship with Fergus to become what she observed of her mother's relationship with Jamie, right? That Leary would shrink away from his touch. And even, and you know, when Marcelly says that, you know, seeing daddy with you, speaking of Claire, you know, seeing daddy with you, that, you know, seeing the love that you all share, that's what I want to have with Fergus, right? So again, this sort of Claire and Jamie taking on this parental role for both Fergus and Marcelly was very evident in different ways, you know, throughout tonight's episode. And I loved it. I loved it. I loved the bonding. Um I I loved it so much.
And I'm going to say something that I never ever thought I would say about Leary. I think that in her past, in her marriages before, she was probably not treated very well and by her husbands. And that's why she kind of shrinks away from Jamie's touch and kind of does, she's not good with affection. She's not good with intimacy because of, she's probably been hurt and by her past husbands. They probably weren't the best to her or kind to her. But I don't think that Leary understands that. And so not Leary, I don't think that Marcelly understands what her mother went through and why she shrinks away from, you know, daddy's touch or his, you know, his affections. And so there is a part of me that goes, well, Leary did protect her children.
I see what you're saying.
Leary did make it to where even though she may have experienced hardships and she may have been on the end of this abuse or this kind of forceful nature of the men she was with, her children never saw it. They never saw the extent of it. And
wow,
that's why Katie doesn't understand why this relationship is different, why Claire and Jamie are so connected. And because Claire's not, even though her and Frank never had a very good marriage after she came back, it was never abusive. It was never hurtful. But I think Leary experienced things. And so I came out of this episode going, I can respect Leary a little bit more.
Katie, you just blew my mind. You just blew my mind with that. I have to do some rethinking myself. But that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Because, well, I think about this relationship with Jamie is probably the first relationship that Marcelly is old enough to sort of observe and be able to observe on not an adult level, but on a more mature level than the previous marriages. But I hear what you're saying, and that makes quite a bit of sense to me, right? That at least that Leary, it seems, was able to shield her daughters from whatever abuse that she suffered.
Yeah, so I never thought that I would ever say that, but if that kind of played out in my mind, and I was like, well, I have a bit more respect for Leary now, even though she's been pretty awful and done some awful things. I can respect her as a mother now because I think that's something that a good mother would do. But yeah, so anyways, that was my long tangent about Leary, who wasn't in this episode.
No, I think that was a very good tangent. I think that was that tangent gave me a lot to think about. I have to process it a little bit more because the things I so don't like Leary.
Oh no, neither do I. Like, and so to me, that conclusion was just like, I don't like this, but it makes sense. So okay.
Oh gosh. Well, Firstly is married.
They are.
Their union has been blessed. Father Fogden, messy as he is,
He made it.
Also, he makes it through, and he blesses Jamie and Claire's union. And then we're back on the Artemis.
Yes.
For some turtle soup, honey.
Yes. I would like to thank that turtle personally for his sacrifice and what that brought to us, and Yi Tian Cho for his cooking skills, and also for his apparently a lot use of sherry.
A whole bottle of sherry.
A whole bottle of sherry. And yeah, another shout out to penicillin. So lots of shout outs.
Lots to talk about and break down. So that's another scene that sort of is taken from different, well, not taken from different parts, but this scene, like with the turtle soup, is sort of picked up and placed like right after Fergus and Marcelly's wedding in a way that doesn't happen in the books. And I don't want to say much more in case some of the other stuff that happens is still coming in future episodes, like in the next 2 episodes. So I don't want to say anything beyond that. But again, I can, this is just another example for me about how it must be really difficult to adapt these books for a TV show. But regardless, I was glad that we got some turtle soup.
I was too. And see, where is I was so confused about the print shop scene, because I was like, print shop scene, yes, something's gonna go down in the print shop scene. I went into turtle soup going, okay, turtle soup, and was just pleasantly surprised by the outcome of that. I was like, yeah, I wasn't expecting this. This is nice. It's fun and flirty and
exactly. And like drunk Claire was hilarious.
Yes, she's drunk. She's a bit feverish, and I mean, her inhibitions are gone.
Yeah,
it's like, you know what? I'm good. We should just roll with this right now.
She's enjoying her soup. She has her penicillin. She finishes the last of her penicillin to help her fever go away. And I think it's so interesting, right, that Claire in this scene is I'm gonna say the word aggressive, but I know all the baggage that word comes with, and I don't mean to imply the baggage, but she's very much the dominant person in this scene, and Jamie's like trying to react to her, you know, and he's like playing too, and he's teasing too, in a way that I adore. So like with the penicillin, and he's like, you know, I thought I wanted to pay you back. I thought I wanted revenge, but I can't do it. So she, like Claire Ever the Savage, just like jabs her own self in her own butt. You're just like, whoa, Claire, didn't you?
As I was watching that, I was like, she's like holding it like really high above her. I was like, she's not gonna stab herself with that. I mean, she's a doctor. She knows how to give a shot, right? She just goes for it.
Well, she's drunk right now, so
you're gonna feel that in the morning. That's deep.
Yeah.
That is not even funny. Oh my goodness. And Jamie's sitting here watching her.
I know. And he's like, whoa.
He's like, I mean, at that point, I can understand why Jamie's like, you know, Sassenach, you are drunk. You are feverish.
Your arm is wounded. You're hurting.
And she's just like going for it.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Bolt the door.
She said that, and I was like, well, I mean, listen to the lady. She said bolt the door.
She said bolt the door, so you better bolt that door, honey. We got to get down to business.
Like, bolt the door, Jamie. And then, I mean, yes, I'm here for this. And they were both flirty. And it was something that we so needed. Because we've had so much drama and so much angst. And just, they haven't had time to, like, really be fun and flirty and even
and
though.
To play.
And it was just so needed, and I felt like just it was a relief. It was a relief to see them be that way together.
Absolutely. One of my favorite parts, I have the quote here that I want to read, if you don't mind.
I want you to read it.
So,
yes.
So
it's like my own.
So it's after Claire has injected herself, stabbed herself in her arse. And Jamie's like, you're not being very respectable right now. And Claire says, what do you mean? I'm respectable. And Jamie says, are you now sitting there with your hair loose and your nipples staring me in the eye, the size of cherries? And then Claire goes, well, it's nothing you haven't seen before. And then Claire climbs on top of the table. And that's where she's like, look, you need to bolt that door. And you're just like, yes, yes.
I love your flailing. It's making me so happy. It's making me happy as the scene.
It made me happy. I loved it so, so much. For all the reasons you said. It's just great to see them play. And Jamie's like, you're sick. I don't want to take advantage of you. But he clearly wants to get into it too.
He's like, I don't want to take advantage of you. You're sick. And she's like, oh, come on. He's like, well, you really don't have to twist my arm.
I know. It's like, well, as soon as she's like, well, you let me worry about my arm. And he's like, okay. And then the next thing you know, she's slammed up against the door, shoving that bolt in, and then...
And it's completely fantastic.
And then it's time to get down to business.
And I'm here for this all the time. Like, this is what I've been waiting for and wanting. And it's fun, it's happy, it's sexy. And then Yi-Tian Cho's like, knock, knock, knock. Did you like my soup? And I'm like, now is not the time.
It's like, Yi-Tian Cho,
go away.
We're not trying to talk recipes right now.
I know. He's like, did you like my soup? I have more. And Jamie said something like, no, we're good. And Claire's like, yeah, I loved your soup. And he like puts his hand over her mouth.
No, I think, what is it? Claire is saying, she's saying something. She's out of it, right? Yeah, so you think about Claire, like, she's hopped up on penicillin. There's so much sherry. She has a fever, and now she's in the throes of passion. And you're like, Claire is out of it. So clearly it's up to Jamie to sort of guide them through that uncomfortable situation.
Yes, I'm like,
and then you're like, Yi-Tian Cho, like, he turns and walks away. He has a little smile, and you're like, Yi-Tian Cho knows exactly what Jamie and Honorable Wife are up to right now.
Honorable Wife. And so, he really loves Yi-Tian Cho. I guess, he loves her like a friend, but he respects her so much. And I think that, he's seen all this angst and drama too. And so there's a part of me that thinks that he's like really proud of himself for helping facilitate this in some way. Yeah. So he's like, I'm really happy I added that whole bottle of sherry and just kind of loosened everybody up.
Loosen everybody up. Yes, actually, Yi-Tian Cho #1, maybe you should pass along to me that recipe for the turtle soup, because if it could get things going on like that, I think that's something that we should all have in our arsenal, in our little cookbook.
So, writers, Yi-Tian Cho's turtle soup recipe would be a hit with your viewers. FYI, if you're feeling up to it.
Go ahead and if the event you're accepting requests.
Yes.
In addition to all the outtakes that we've liked, including the outtake of Jamie meeting Annika, if you have it.
If you have it.
Go ahead and add the recipe for Yi-Tian Cho's turtle soup. And in the book, that Jamie Claire sexy times is what breaks Claire's fever.
That's about right. I mean,
I love it so much.
you gotta break the fever. You get it worked out of you.
Workout. Working it out.
She's a doctor. She knows what she's doing.
Oh gosh. Oh, I love that so much. Like, literally for the next week, I'm just gonna have turtles, like random turtles, just like in my tweets and everything. Just like turtle.
I send you a text in the middle of a day with just a couple turtles.
I'll know exactly what you mean.
Oh gosh. And then I'll text you back, my goats need grass.
Always.
Always.
Always. Always. Oh my gosh. So I really liked tonight's episode.
I did too. It was fun. I mean,
It
for all
was.
like it started out and you kind of got to see, you know, Claire go through all of this survival stuff, and then we kind of got this comic relief slash what's happening with Bogdan and Mamacita, and then you get happy again, and then you get like finally like this playful satisfaction ending. It was fun. I smile. I was smiling so much this episode.
Same. Same. Like there was smiling. There was definitely joy. As you said, there was some comic relief because Fogden was messy. And see, the thing is that like he was messy. I don't know that I ever thought Fogden was dangerous. But you could tell that it wasn't all right. But besides the point, we're able to make it through and we end on a very high note. Also, I just need to say that the South Africa filming has been really, really a highlight.
It has. It's so gorgeous. Oh my goodness, and so well done.
Yeah.
I've been so impressed with like with the scenes being shot on the ships, and it's just been really beautiful.
Yeah, and the beaches, and I mean, yeah, I agree. I really agree. So, 2 more episodes left, girl.
Oh, 2 more episodes. I'm sure that it's going to be great.
Well, next week they get to Jamaica,
where people are expecting Jamie because the what are they? The Artemis or the Porpoise?
the porpoise.
The Porpoise has got there first, so they already know James Fraser is in the area.
Yeah. And I think it was last week, maybe I mentioned a significant character that in the books Claire meets on the porpoise that did not happen this time.
Yes.
I am 97% sure that Claire will meet this significant character next week.
Oh, I'm not going to say anything at all.
That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, I plan to spend this week in my Jamie Claire turtle soup bubble and leave the drama to next week.
Yep. I'm saying I can't say anything. You know how bad I am talking.
So that's all I have, I think. Yeah, I think that's all I have.
Yeah, that's all I had. I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode as much as we did. And this isn't live right now, so make sure that you comment and tell us, oh, you guys were like absolutely wrong about Fogden. He is, you know, something else. And comment with us and talk to us. And
yeah, especially about Mamacita. So if you think Mamacita is also secretly tonight's MVP, let us know, because that's what I think. I think Mamacita is tonight's MVP.
And yeah, I'm still standing by Coco. Me and Claire had a really tight conversation, and honestly, I've got to give it to the coconut because that stopped me in my tracks, and I was like, okay, this is going to be a good episode.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So yes, please comment, share all your thoughts about Uncharted with us. If you just want to make a comment with like 100 turtles, I mean, we'd love to see that too. Please read our recap. Again, the link is down below. Comment, find us on social media, come talk to us. We always love hearing from you. So please, please do share your thoughts. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you back here next week.
Bye.
Bye.